Hey, it's Dr. Karen Can. Welcome to another edition of the Spiritual Medicine Digest. Today, I want to talk to you about fight energy. Now, it's really interesting because some of the things that I choose to talk about segues with what's going on in the world, and in this case, politics, and other things. But, I want you to think back to, history. So, at least here in America, and I'm actually Canadian, but in history and geography, not my top subjects, so just bear with me here. But in the past, revolution had to use fight energy for it to be successful, right? Like the American Revolution, this revolution, that revolution, like all these revolutions and from around the world, right? So we went from one state of government to another state of government because of this revolution. And what really got me thinking about this fight energy is that even in the spiritual world, there's a lot of fight energy. So let me give you an example. So, not that long ago, well, it seems not that long ago, I guess it is long ago, but, I was talking to one of my spiritual mentors, and she was talking about the different, like the different entities and the energies and what we deal with, the angels and demons and, all this kind of stuff, right? And she talked to me about being a warrior and that there was like this fight going on between a battle, that was the word, battle, between dark and light and evil and good. And that I was one of the warriors in the light, so to speak. And I thought that was very interesting. And also, I felt, as I look back, I felt kind of galvanized, in a way, like, I'm fighting for the good side, and this is a battle between good and evil, and all this kind of stuff, right? So I want you to just be in your body right now as you listen to me and watch me talk about this, and just feel what that feels like in your body, because your body is very informative, and we're doing this mini exercise here for a reason. Just bear with me. So, for me, that fight energy made me feel like strong, like stronger, more empowered, galvanized to fight the bad guys and, this kind of energy. And I think that in our religion or religious texts, things like that, there's a certain degree of interpretation that encourages this kind of fight. And when I listen to various different speakers, some of them are, pro-Trump, some of them anti-Trump, whatever. What's very interesting is that and this is in America, of course, that on the Republican side, they seem to be more traditional religious, which generally speaking does not really resonate with me. Like if you're looking at my core values and on paper, looking at core values of, Republicans versus Democrat, I'd probably be much more Democrat in many ways. Like the abortion issue is very controversial, of course. But I think there are not black and white answers for that kind of thing, And one thing I can be very clear about, or clear cut about, is that I am not for capital punishment and never have been. And maybe I'll change my mind, but I don't think so. Just the thought of killing someone, even if they did horrible, bad things, I don't know. I have a really hard time with that. Okay, so in some ways, my core values are more in alignment with some of the Democratic parties, libertarian, really, those things. And so this fight energy came up recently because during the impeachment of Trump, the impeachment trials of Trump, which just happened last week, my dear husband watched the entire thing. I didn't have time for that, but I got the notes, of what happened, and he showed me the highlights. But anyway, so he watched the whole thing, And what was very interesting is that the prosecution side, so the House managers, so that would be the Democratic side, generally speaking, were showing videos of Donald Trump saying fight like 6 times, Now, what was very interesting was they would take a snippet of the video with him saying fight and then attach it to a video of the riots, and then another part of the video where he says fight, and then attach it to another video of riots. And I thought, well, gee, I can do that. I can make a video like that. Like I have video skills, And but here's the thing, it makes it look bad, because that fight energy really, okay, what does it feel like in your body, right? So for me, it's like, right? But what happens is that fight energy comes up against something, right? So think of fight energy as a fist. If that fist keeps going and there's nothing there, nothing happens. In order for that fist to work, what has to happen? You have to have resistance. You have to have something to fight against. And here's where the problem is. If you're a freedom fighter, if you're fighting tyranny, if you're fighting for something, okay, that fight energy must strike an opponent. It must strike resistance. And I'm going to question about how effective really is that in the long run. Yes, it did get us through a whole bunch of revolutions, so we are much more free today in many aspects than we were before, for sure, okay? We don't have outright open slavery, at least not in America, open slavery. But this fight energy requires something to resist against it. So it's almost like you can't have a fight without something to fight for, with, against, something like that. And we know from the law of attraction, whatever energy we put out, we get back. And it's a reflection of the energy that we're resonating. So being a freedom fighter means that you must have something to fight against. And the universe will give you something to fight against. That's how it works. So back to this impeachment trial. Forget about the whole it being not constitutional, which it was not. It's interesting how they kind of like manipulate the laws to whatever they want. It's very interesting. But a lot of the prosecution, their claims, okay, and their evidence was about Donald Trump using the word fight 6 times in that whatever videos they were, pitching out. Now, I thought Donald Trump's lawyers were actually very, very good, I have to say. And like I said, I'm Canadian, so I'm not even, registered for a party. I never did love Trump's personality, but I have to say his lawyers did a really good job. Because what they did was they showed the entire video, not just the piece where he said fight, okay, the entire video, and then had the context of that. So fight for your freedom is very different from fight and storm the Capitol and kill people, right? So anyway, so whether you love Trump or not Trump, if you actually watch it, you actually see that if the words taken out of context, it really makes that person look bad. But what I think they did very brilliantly was that they actually, I don't know how they did this so quickly, because they literally got the evidence like the night before, okay? Like, so these guys had to work around the clock, the defense, to like figure out what their angle was going to be. So I'm just amazed at how well they did. Anyway, so they actually took, this is actually really funny. I think it's funny. You might hate me, but I think it's funny. So they took various different Democratic representatives and the Speaker of the House and, Joe Biden and everything, and they actually took snippets of when they said fight too. But what was really interesting was they actually said stuff that actually incited violence. It says, I want to punch him, punch him in the face. Joe Biden said, I want to take him in the gym and punch him, so that's real, like, as opposed to fight for your freedom, right? Which is, you can connotate it a number of different ways, but punch him in the face is pretty obvious what that means. That is violence, or, but so anyway, so they actually took a whole bunch of, people, I think mostly Democratic, and if not all, and showed them saying fight, 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 and some of them were actually inciting violence, right? And so their point was, wait a second, if you're going to, you know, if you're going to indict Donald Trump for saying fight, and by the way, he said fight 20 times in the speech, not 6. So that, so the defendant actually told the prosecutors that he said fight more than what they said, which was hilarious. So I think it was hilarious. And so, but there, I was like, if you have that rule for him, how can you not have that rule for everyone else, right? So that's not fair. But my whole point in saying this is that fight energy and that word fight gets us into trouble. And that's how Donald Trump got into trouble. But of course, everybody else should have gotten into equal trouble, but they didn't. Because, it's not necessarily fair and double standard, whatever. Okay. So, do we need that fight energy for revolution? In the traditional sense, probably. But in the ascended sense, in the new world, in the future ideal reality, the answer is no. At least from my point of view, it's no. That fight energy is antiquated, it's not needed, and like I said, you need an opponent. So this can be very addictive. Think about it, that galvanization, that feeling of empowerment. It's kind of pseudo empowerment, but anyway, that feeling I'm fighting for something, and some people do need that to get them off their butt. I get that, okay? But in this day and age, especially in the digital day and age, people are fighting very, very differently. And people that know how to fight that way actually tend to win. So that kind of fight energy, I personally feel, is not only not successful or helpful, but actually can be harmful because you call into your presence more of something that you need to fight. Hope that makes sense to you. So then you're like, well, Dr. Karen, how are we going to get our freedom back? How are we going to get sovereignty? Like I'm seeing, for heaven's sakes, you got censored off Facebook for 10 days, right? And you still can't post to your groups on a regular basis. Aren't you mad about that? Aren't you annoyed about that? Don't you want to fight for freedom? Stand up for yourself? No, right? Yes, I do want to stand up for myself, and I do want to stand up for the rest of us. And I do believe in sovereignty, and I do believe in freedom. But to fight for it in the traditional energetic sense is not working. And I don't think it's going to work. So we have to change the channel on that. You don't have to fight to be empowered. And you don't have to fight to win, which is very interesting, isn't it? Think about that. Think about that. Now, some people are not going to want to let go of that fight because that's all the energy they have and they don't have fight. They're like, like melted ice cream on the floor. There's nothing to them because all they have is fight. And that's unfortunate. But I don't think that's you. There is something deeper within you beyond the fight. Now, fighting can be fun, but like I said, if you want to save the world, it's probably not going to work that way. So we have to change the channel. We have to do something, be something different. And understand that fight energy can be very addictive, but it's not sustainable. And it's certainly not good for your adrenals, right? I used to have adrenal fatigue, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, all that kind of stuff. Can't do that. I did for a very long time. I was one of the poster children for codependency and fighting. Now, I didn't fight with my fists, but it was like every day I fought for something I thought was worth fighting for, but didn't realize that fighting energy was draining me. It was draining me physically, it was draining me energetically, and even spiritually. So Source, God, is showing me, at least to communicate to you, that there's a different way. That's the old way. And I understand and respect the need for some things, because push come to shove, literally, if there was somebody that was being harmed by, physically harmed by someone in front of me, especially someone that I know and care about, whatever, right? Like that I know that they're not bad people or, doing something bad or something like that. Likelihood is, yeah, I'm going to go in and defend them. And yes, would that mean fighting? Sometimes. But it's interesting because in martial arts, there's different styles of martial arts, right? You see the ones with big kicks and the big punches, and you got MMA and they're all like bruised and blah, that kind of thing. But there's other types of martial arts that's a little bit more subtle and but equally as effective in basically neutralizing their opponent. So in Chinese, kung fu, there is a technique called chin na. So in chin na, it does take some skill and practice to do this. So it's not like you suddenly learn it like overnight, but there's certain points that you can actually twist. I can't do it on myself. I have to do it on someone else. But that you can certain angles, and then you can debilitate that person and save the person that you're helping or run away or whatever, right? So you don't actually have to physically kill the other opponent or person. You can disable them temporarily while you get away and that kind of thing, right? As opposed to shooting them in the head, which is like obviously very, very violent and extreme. There's other martial arts too. I don't know, everybody's all the names, but Aikido, and there's other ones where you use certain pressure points, where you're not really harming the person, but you're temporarily stunning them. Now, are you still fighting? Yeah. But the funny thing is that at least in my martial arts, which is Wing Chun Kung Fu, that's my favorite, that's the one that I train as a student, one of the things that we learn is to stay in relaxation and take whatever energy is there and just kind of like shift your angle and have a very solid base, but be almost emotionless. And it's funny because that fight energy is the opposite of emotionless. You know what I mean? Yeah, in a real fight, your adrenaline's pumping. But if you can control that, and if you can be calm and you can just feel, what's going on, be in the moment, be in the zone, there actually is not that much of a fight energy. The fight energy that we have is almost before the fight, that we're like, okay, I'm ready. All right, what is he gonna get? And you waste a lot of energy that way. So let's make a deal. If you're with me, let's see if we can cancel or at least minimize the use of the word fight in our language, especially when it comes to fighting for freedom, fighting for sovereignty, fighting for human rights, fighting climate change. I don't know, what is it? Fighting riots, gun control, whatever. There's so many fight, right? And so I was talking to Source and I was saying, okay, is there something we can do for all of humanity related to this energy of fight? And the answer was yes. And I was like, I get so excited when I get permission to do that. So this fight energy, which is antiquated, it's old, it's been around for, gosh, millennia, right? There's a frequency to that. And let's delete it now. So when we delete it for all of humanity, you can decide, hey, I want to receive that as well. Now, of course, it's all of humanity as a whole, but you as an individual can choose. There are certain times, like I said, where it may be helpful to have that fight energy. But this shouldn't be our go-to, if you know what I mean. It should be more relegated to if need be. It's sort of like, if you're sick in the hospital, whatever. I mean, the first thing shouldn't be, oh, I should cut off your leg. It's like, let's try to save the limb, let's give antibiotics, just do wound repair, all that kind of stuff, right? The first thing should not be, unless you're really ready to die at that moment, let's cut off your leg to save your life, right? So we don't want the extremes at the beginning because it may not be necessary. So we can first cut it out of our language, and then now we can actually do a healing. And while you hear me, I'm going to do a Topican healing. That's my modality, Topican healing directive. I want you to feel your body and feel the energy shift. May or may not, but you may feel it shift as I do this directive, as I do this healing for all of humanity, to remove, dissolve, and uncreate this fight energy, which, like I said, is not necessary for our freedoms. It's not necessary for our future, sustainable, beautiful, harmonious, peaceful life together. We don't need it. Okay, you ready? Here we go. I now command that this fight energy be deleted, dissolved, uncreated for all of humanity in all millennia and all realities in the infiniverse, in the highest and best way, all directions of time, with ease and grace. Thank you. Okay, just tune into your body, feel what that feels like. I would love if you're here on YouTube or Facebook, if you could comment below how that feels in your body. And if you agree or disagree, feel free to comment as well. I'm not saying that, that 100% of the time you can't have any fight energy. No. What I'm saying is that should not be our go-to. That should not be our dominant thing. And that should not be something that we say day in and day out. And if we want something to happen, that's a very important time where we delete this word from our vocabulary. So be for something, don't fight against something, and don't fight for something, right? Don't fight for that thing. There's other actions that you take besides that fight. Because like I said, the minute you say fight and the minute you go there, the universe has no choice but to give you something to fight against. So remember this, right? Fist is useless if there's nothing to hit. You might even, dislocate your arm. Okay, so so comment below and let me know how that feels in your body. If you're not subscribed on my YouTube channel, please do so. That would be so awesome. And if you like what you hear, please feel free to share it with other like-minded folks. I do want to share a couple of announcements. Number one is on my podcast on Monday, the Light Warrior radio show. I have my guest Joshua Bloom, who is a fellow energy healer, and he just launched a book recently, a #1 bestseller called The Answer is Inside. And he actually got one of my favorite people on the planet, Dr. Bruce Lipton, to do the foreword for his book. I was like, what? That's so awesome, right? So he's going to show up at 12 noon. I'll post the link near this video. So you can click that on 12 noon Eastern on Monday. And if you're on my mailing list, we're actually, he's doing a little a gift giveaway on the email. So we're going to email that to you Sunday night if you're on my email list at KarenCan.com. And then during the show, he's actually going to give away 5 of his beautiful oracle cards. Yeah, beautiful oracle cards. And actually, yes, let me grab it so I can show it to you. All right, so here is his oracle cards, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And if you love divination using cards, like asking for guidance and things like that, you can actually use the cards. And he even has an online version of that. So I don't know if you can see that, but sorry, some of these don't really. Anyway, they're gorgeous, gorgeous cards. So if you are going to be live on the show on Monday at 12 noon and calling in live, we will be choosing 5 winners. Yeah. So check it out. We'll also have the chat open as well. So if you can't, call in live because you're not from the U.S. and you don't want to call long distance, that's fine. You can be in the chat as well. So you can just click the link. Okay, so second announcement is that, it's, new year, telesummit season. If you have not already signed up for the Elevated Existence Telesummit, do it now because my interview is going to be on Thursday, February 25th, talking about intuitive decision making with Tammy Mastroberti. She's a lovely gal, and I love being on our telesummit every year. So I hope you join me for that on the 25th, but you need to sign up. So we're going to put that link near this video as well. The other telesummits, there's one I don't have a link for you just yet, but I will get that to you soon. If you're on my mail list, we'll send that on the weekend. But my friend Darius has his wonderful, humongous U-Wealth Revolution telesummit also launching. And my talk is going to be April 12th. And it's going to be, we're trying to figure out how to name this and not get censored. But anyway, so this is what we came up with. Being resilient, feeling calm, controlled, and confident in the face of COVID and other challenges. Good name, huh? I think it's a good name. All right, so that's happening April 12th, but please sign up now because there's a whole bunch of free healing. The telesummit is free to listen to. So whatever resonates with you, you can check it out and get some, free healing throughout the whole summit. It's several months long. I know mine isn't until April, so you have to wait till then, but you can sign up now, and I'll put the link near this video as well. And last but not least, if you're not on my mailing list and would like to be, you can go to KarenCan.com and get a copy of the Sensitive Soul Guide, which is for people who are highly sensitive. 3 ways of navigating your way to more peace, positivity, and personal power so you can have the life of your dreams, create a life of joy, and fulfill your purpose. The other thing there is my book, actually. Sensitivity is Your Superpower. So if you get that on Amazon, there's a $1,000 bonus free. Sorry, I'm disappearing here. That's like magic. And that's on KarenCan.com as well. So I look forward to next week's Spiritual Medicine Digest. I'm going to make a commitment to delete the word fight from my vocabulary as much as I can, and I hope you will too, so we can hold this frequency of positive energy instead. And I want you to discover what that is. I'm not going to tell you what that is. Let you discover what that is. Once that fight energy is gone, what is left in its place to make things move? So if you know the answer, put it in the comments. All right, until next time, bye for now and lots of love.